welcome again to another episode of Sardinia in a nutshell. On the 8th of March is going to be International Women's Day, and being the proud feminist I am, I decided to mark the event with a video on one of the most important female characters in Sardinian history, Eleonora D'Arborea. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of information about her, because after the whole of Sardinia was conquered by the King of Aragon, though conquered more like sold to the King of Aragon, the Kingdom of Aragon decided to move all the archives of the Kingdom of Arborea from Oristano to Aragon. In the meantime, they also destroyed some documents in order to avoid an insurgence of Sardinian people again, who wanted their independence. Therefore, all the information in this video are as fairly accurate as possible, but unfortunately there isn't any certainty about it. Also, a big thank you to Christopher Murgia for requesting this video. So let's get started now. It is fairly certain that she was born in Catalonia in 1347 and not in Arborea. It is also fairly certain that she was the youngest of the three surviving siblings from Marianus IV and Timbora of Rocabertì. However, she was the one to succeed her brother Hugh III to the throne of Arborea, because her sister Beatrice at that time was already dead, and apparently, for what the historian Bianca Pizzorno has unveiled, she was elected as successor to her brother by her father, Marianus IV, in Israel. For what we know, she lived most of her life in Oristano, but then when she got married to Brancaleone Doria, who was another big landowner in Sardinia, she lived for a while in Castel Genovese, which is now Castel Sardo, and then she moved to Genoa for a couple of years. It was her father, Marianus IV, who started the whole Sardinian-Catalan war for the independence of Sardinia. He managed to get hold of the majority of Sardinia for a while and tried to be as independent as possible from the Crown of Aragon, who owned Sardinia from 1297, or at least they tried. In 1297 was when the King of Aragon had permission from the Pope to come and invade Sardinia. So Sardinia was always a subordinate kingdom to the Crown of Aragon. This war continued even after Marianus' death, with his son and successor Hugh III, who continued with the war and tried to control the people of Sardinia with an iron fist. So the people of Sardinia weren't particularly happy with Hugh's way of ruling and decided in 1383 to kill him off. So he was assassinated in broad daylight with his 13-year-old daughter Beatrice, who was also killed, unfortunately. Eleonora, of course, wasn't really happy about it, and in this climate tried to get the throne of Arborea again for her son Frederick, who was an infant at the time. So basically she would have to be her regent. In order to get the throne, she sent a missive to the King of Aragon, trying to persuade him to give her more assistance. And Brancaleone, her husband, was sent to Aragon in order to deal with the matter face to face with the King of Aragon. The King of Aragon, of course, wasn't stupid, and he saw how much power Eleonora was getting, so he decided to keep Brancaleone in Aragon as a hostage. Eleonora, of course, wasn't going to be intimidated by the King of Aragon, so she decided to refuse to bend the knee and decided to move from Genoa to Oristano and self-proclaimed herself as a regent of the new judge, her son Frederick. However, unlike her brother, Eleanor was more open to negotiation with the Crown of Aragon. So in 1388 she finally obtained a truce with the Crown of Aragon in exchange of land and castles, and of course in exchange of her husband. Brancaleone, in fact, was allowed to return to Oristano in 1390, and at that point, unfortunately, his eldest son Frederick had died. So the new judge was his younger son, Marianus. Although it is actually disputed if this younger son was his, due to the 7-year captivity in Aragon, he recognized him as his own. As soon as Brancaleone was back in Oristano, the truce was broke off, and Eleonora and Brancaleone decided to conquer all the land they gave in their treaty to the Crown of Aragon. And in less than a year, actually, they managed to get all of their land and even more under their dominion. Basically, the whole of Sardinia was under their control. During these years, Eleonora actually did something very important for which she is still remembered nowadays, and this is the Carta de Logu. The Carta de Logu is a legal code made of 198 chapters, promulgated in 1395, but actually was written and prepared a lot before her. Specifically, the preparation for this Carta started with her father, Marianus IV. This code had very advanced laws for the time. For example, there were some laws to protect the fauna of the Kingdom of Arborea, there were some laws to preserve women's property right, and also there were some laws to assure repercussions on rapists. This code is not only important because it stayed in force until 1827, but also because this is the first official document written in Logudorese, which, as we spoke about in one of my first videos on Sardinian, it's a dialect of the language Sardinian. This is basically all the information that we have. We don't actually know when she died specifically. Some people say 1402, some people say 1404. The historian Bianca Pizzorno establishes the date of death between the 3rd and the 23rd of June 1403. Because apparently there are some documents. The first document arrived on the 3rd of June in Oristano, and it was for the judges, so Eleonora and her son, and the other document dated 23rd of June was for her husband Brancaleone and his son Marianus. So after this date we don't actually have any more information. She's not mentioned anymore. We also don't know how she looked. The only image that we have of her is a little sculpture in the church of San Gavino Monreale in Oristano. This marks the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to leave them below as well. If you would like to share this video with friends and family that maybe are feminist and would like to know more about very strong and independent women, please do share it with them. And if you're not subscribed and you enjoyed seeing me blubbering about very strong female characters of the past, please subscribe, because I hopefully will have much more for you in stock. In reserve? I will have more for you. Also, please ring the bell to get notifications so that you will be notified the next time I upload a video, because you know that I don't have a schedule. I will see you next time. Aziviri! Mwah! Her brother Hughes III. Hugh. Too much Full Metal Alchemist here.